Hey everybody, it's Caleb Crewy here. So this is going to be my first video on my new channel that I've decided to start, and that channel is called Caleb Crewy Reports and Predicts for here and around the globe. So before I start off on this video, which is about the Peterborough elections on June 6th, and just kind of a breakdown of that, with my new channel, I just want to give a little background on kind of why I started this channel and what it's going to do. So my channel will cover American elections, anywhere from federal to state elections, and big city races as well. Also, it will cover elections around the globe. So this year, for example, a big one coming up is the elections in Canada, the general elections there, but I will also do probably this year I'll recap the Australian election, I'll recap the Danish election, and I'll also recap the European election, the British race for Prime Minister. So really, I come from Southwest Virginia, so this, not Southwest Virginia, but the southern part and western part of Virginia. And in my area, it used to be very heavily Democrat, but that changed, and it's now a very Republican area. So by seeing the trends in my area and areas across Virginia, and I do work and have previously worked in politics, seeing that trend of how areas have went from one party to the other and what that means, that's one thing I want this to accomplish, is to show people the trends of the areas and kind of how it's really how the political landscape changes. Another thing also is global elections they're not a corollary event. So the election in Australia is definitely not the same as the election in India. They had similar results, but they don't really piggyback off of each other. But it does show that there is some type of global trend to the right in certain parts of the world. Now, there's different reasons for that, but so the question is why. And you know, and I'm sure as I do my channel in a couple of years, we'll be talking about a global trend to the left, or a global trend to the centrist, or away from the establishment parties, which is actually happening now. So I'm sure eventually that will change, and people will flock back to those parties, or they may not. But what I want to do is just report on that. I do think on YouTube there are a lot of things about the big elections. As an American, the president election is covered a lot. My goal is to try to do it from a non-biased perspective. I am a conservative, so I'm a Republican, but I don't want that to seep into my coverage. I want to be very fair, and I just want to kind of go into the results and try to stick to hard data. Now, I will try to do my own predictions from that, but I'm trying to be just as biased and look at the data. Now, so that's kind of a little bit about what I hope to accomplish with the channel, and I hope to do. Now, if we go into this election in Peterborough, this was a swing constituency. So in the United States, we have congressional districts that are swing districts because they go between both major parties. And this is how it has been in Peterborough. It has been a seat held by the Conservatives. It's been held by Labor. In the past couple decades, it's battled back and forth. Well, so with the European Parliament elections and with Brexit contesting this was to really see what the landscape was going to be. Now, the Brexit Party came in second, and this is very important. This was a very pro-Brexit area. So this really highlights kind of a divide in British politics right now. If you look at the results, the Labour MP, or candidate that is going to be an MP, defeated the Brexit candidate by 683 votes with 31%, and Brexit at 29%. And in third place, the Conservatives were at 21%. Now that's a huge shift. If either Brexit Party or the Conservatives did not contest this seat, so if the Conservatives, since they came in third, didn't contest the seat the Brexit Party probably would have won the seat. If the Brexit Party would have not contested the seat, the Conservatives would have most likely won the seat. Now, so what that really shows is that if there is a general election, which there could be, that there probably should be some type of compact between those parties, or the other party will end up, or Labor will ultimately probably succeed from that. Because as we see on this, even though the Liberal Democrats in a recent poll were at the top of polled at top at over the Brexit Party in second, and the Conservatives and Labor were third and fourth. They did not perform well here. The Liberal Democrats didn't. They only came with 12%. So even if you add that to Labor, if you combine Labor's taking and the Liberal Democrats taking, they would still lose to a combination of Brexit and the Conservatives. So the big parties, it was 31% for Labor. The Brexit Party was at 29%. The Conservatives were at 21%. The Liberal Democrats were a distant fourth at 12%, and a fifth was the Green Party, which had some gains in the European elections in the UK, but definitely around the European Union they did. Now, if we go down here a little bit, and this is kind of some facts of the election. So there were 15 candidates that stood in the election. The turnout was down from the general election in 2017, which is to be expected. Now, in that, and because special elections usually have that. Now, the Tories in that election lost to Labor for the seat by 607 votes. So the vote was very narrow then as well. So that just shows how this swings. Now, Theresa May did not visit this constituency for it. Now, she did resign actually on June 7th, so the day after the election, but she decided not to. She had already announced her resignation, and so she did not visit there. Now, Peterborough. So the other thing too about it is that Jeremy Corbyn and former Prime Minister Gordon Brown, they visited, and Boris Johnson and their Labor, as Gordon Brown was Prime Minister and Jeremy Corbyn is the current leader of Labor. Now, Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt visited the city as well. Now, as a lot of you know, Boris Johnson is the former mayor of London, and he looks like he's probably going to win the race for the leadership of the Conservative Party and most likely the next Prime Minister. Now, Jeremy Hunt is also a member of the current cabinet and is also running for the Conservative leader to be Prime Minister. Now, if we go further down on this, Labor, if you look at the change, both Labor and the Conservative Party are down a lot from the 2017 general election. They're down 17 points for Labor, 25 for the Conservatives. The Brexit Party, which did not exist in 2017, but it was UKIP, so they're up by 29 points. But to show that the Brexit Party has a lot more staying power than UKIP, UKIP still gained from their previous results by 1 point for the 2017 election, and the Brexit Party came from, is pretty much an offshoot of UKIP, or a kind of more not necessarily offshoot, but it is kind of a new and improved UKIP, maybe UKIP 2.0. They tend to be former conservative members of the Conservative Party that are pro-Brexit. Now, Nigel Farage was a prominent UKIP politician. So, but it also shows here that the Liberal Democrats are up to 12%, up 9 points from 2017. So it does show that really what this election shows is probably what's going to happen around Britain, and kind of the shift in British politics right now. The Conservatives and the Labour Party have dominated British politics all of last century, and for the last 150 years, they both have dominated. And so, but with Brexit has really changed British politics, as a lot of you probably have seen. So the Brexit Party has shown that even though they took this election was close, it showed that the Conservatives, if they can get maybe a pro-Brexit candidate, a hardliner, Boris Johnson, Dominic Raab, or there's several other pretty hard candidates that would even be for leaving without a deal, a no-deal Brexit. So if they get it, somebody, maybe they can stop hemorrhaging all these votes they lost to the Brexit Party. So now earlier in the video, I stated that this was a pro leave, and it was. They voted to leave on here. They backed leave 61 to 39. So you look at a constituency like this, and these are the constituencies that both Labour and the Tories, the Conservative Party, are having an issue with, because there are historically Labour strongholds in different parts of the UK. Now this one, like I said, was a swing one, but in the UK there's significant areas that used to be Labour areas that highly backed leaving the EU and supported Brexit. So the Brexit Party is playing on that. They also are playing highly on. They also are playing highly on the Conservatives' kind of muddled position on Brexit, because some Conservatives actually support a second referendum. They do have one candidate running for Prime Minister that does, but they mostly don't. But they support something, not necessarily a hard Brexit or some type of compromise that, and a lot of them, haven't really taken a strong stand that they would be willing just to get out. And the Brexit Party says, look, they want to leave in October and just get out, no matter what the consequences of that is. And if we scroll up here and we look again, that it voted leave 61 to 39. Well, if you look at that and you look at the leave percentage, and you split that between the Liberal Democrats and Labour. Now it's a little higher if you add those two, but they both are pretty much for remaining. So they will remain. So the 39% that voted to remain in the European Union, most of those people supported Labour, it looks like. And some of those probably supported the Liberal Democrats as well. And then if you look at the percentage, the 61%, well, that was split. Now, you're not going to vote necessarily for a member of Parliament just because of their vote on Brexit. But what it is showing is that Brexit is a huge issue. And so, and that Brexit vote split between the Brexit, the Conservatives, you would assume UKIP, but then some of them probably voted for Liberal Democrats, or maybe they were Labour people that voted to leave. So that's probably not the best thing in a general election. Like, it is a really good indicator in the European Parliament elections. Like I said, I'll probably do a video breaking that down. But what this does show is that the Brexit Party has a lot of power right now, and they can really dictate what type of relationship they want with the Conservative Party. Nigel Farage has talked about some sort of compact. Now, of course, right now in the race for Prime Minister, a lot of the Tories, a couple of the people have said, like Roy Stewart and Jeremy Hunt, have both said, well, or not Jeremy Hunt, but C. Baker. They both have said, well, we probably don't want some type of deal. But I listened to the Liberal Democrat. They had an interview of both those candidates running for their leadership position, and they were very similar about with Labour. We don't, and they even said they went from a coalition government. Now, a lot of this is just political posturing, because if you look at these results, just for this seat, but with it so split, there's no way. It's very improbable that one party will get a majority government. So they would have to form some type of coalition or have some supply and confidence type of deal, maybe something similar to what Theresa May and the Conservatives have right now with the Democratic Unionist Party, DUP of Northern Ireland. They have a deal right now that on all major votes that they will help them and that they will vote for whoever they choose for prime minister, but they don't have a technical coalition government. So I think what Peterborough is forecasting for the future, and this is kind of my opinion part of the video, but it's really showing that there was a general election, that and now the Labour held this seat, but what it is showing is that the Brexit Party and the Conservative Party, if they don't have a compact, it's very likely to see that Labour could pick up the most seats. Now, the two Liberal Democrat leaders, candidates for their leadership race, had both said that they will not form a coalition with Jeremy Corbyn. So if that doesn't happen, and Nigel Farage has seemed like he is okay with some sort of coalition or government pact with with the Conservatives. So it does look like either it does look like no one's going to be able to get a majority. And so we don't know when this is going to go, if there will be a general election. A lot of people do predict that there will be one soon, earlier, that there will be some no confidence agreement. But this just shows that unless the Conservatives deliver Brexit, whether that's some sort of compromise or at the end of the year they just get out, that the Brexit Party is going to be a thorn in their side going forward. And it also shows that the Liberal Democrats gaining 9% in this constituency, it really shows that this hardline Remain, that they want a second referendum and that they are going to want to remain in the EU, that their clear position on it has kind of put them back into prominence. Now, as I mentioned earlier, in recent pollings, they're polling 1 or 2 in the polls as one of the top parties. Now, with the way that the UK does, like in the United States, first past the post, so whoever gets the most votes wins, it does give them a challenge. But what it is showing is that in all these constituencies, that it's going to be a really hard fought battle if there is a general election soon. And it shows that politics in the UK is really going to be a really messy situation going forward. So that's kind of my opinions. If you guys would like and subscribe to my video, it would mean so much. Just starting out, being a brand new channel, it would just mean a lot. Also, as I go through my videos, I'm still working on a couple other ideas, but this is just something I wanted to cover that happened recently, June 6th. I'm actually recording this on June 7th. So I just wanted to touch on this, but thank you guys so much. Please like and subscribe and have a blessed day.